Welcome back to the World Championship Series as we look at a wonderful train arriving at the central station here in Cologne, Germany. I wonder how many players are on that one, boys.
Oh, TLO would be so excited to see this right now.
TLO probably on that train arriving right now, ready for his games on Friday. But we're here for Group F currently. Joining me on the desk this time is Sam and Jared. A super fast start to the day there.
Yeah, very decisive from Zanster. I like how he played that. You know, he kind of got the advantages in a few situations in those games, but he didn't show any weakness. So, you know, it's easy to kind of say, oh, well, he got a bit of an edge at this point or this point, you know, through the scouting and so on, but he showed absolutely zero weakness. So I was very impressed.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice for a player that comes into the first time to the World Championship Series, you know, gets a nice and easy win and just kind of says to himself, you know what, this is easy, I'm going to do well today. That's going to be a good confidence boost, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought that would be a much harder match. Kane's, you know, people say, oh, he's semi-retired, but he's a really damn good player. He's been practicing so hard for the last couple of years. That doesn't just disappear overnight. So to get through there, I think Zanster's kind of looking very scary in that winners match, whoever makes it out of the next one.
That's right. The next match is going to be coming up now. Let's take a look at the bracket to see where we are today and the second day of games here in Cologne, Germany. It's iAsonu taking on ForGG. This is going to be an interesting one. Looking forward to this one. iAsonu's been making a lot of waves recently in the Chinese scene, but ForGG has been that same player for years and years and years now, who is a menace and a terror, Sam. I mean, you've run into him, you've played him.
Yeah, played him countless times and lost countless times, like many of the other foreign players in Europe. So, yeah, he's definitely a good player, but like we've been saying, he has been on a bit of a decline recently. Like, last year, he won DreamHack. He beat Live 4-2. You know, that's no easy feat. But since then, it's just kind of been a little bit downhill. He did make the round of 16 last season, and he still is making consistent Premier performances, but just not like we're hoping and usually seeing from him.
Yeah, especially last season, it's got to be a bit of a confidence knockdown for him. And there have been some doubts about, you know, is he still at that same level after going out so quickly in the round of 16? And he actually really struggled in the round of 32 last season as well. Now, speaking of that, recently he did almost take out Innovation in a TvT series, of course, at an IEM where he was very close, but there's no TvT today. He's got to play TVZ only. And it's a matchup where, while he's amazing at it, he's very aggressive and sometimes can get a little bit too predictable. So with three different Zergs there who've all been studying his play, I mean, not only does he want to get out of this group as quickly as possible in first place so he doesn't have to show too many builds, but he's going to have to try and keep changing up his play between games or just somehow just play so much better than his opponents. He can't get too predictable here.
And he's going up against a predictable player, to be honest, in a Chinese Zerg player. We know the Chinese style very well now after the last couple of years in StarCraft 2. Full aggression, you know, absolutely killers when it comes to playing aggressive StarCraft 2. And that in the past has definitely been one of ForGG's weaknesses, is that he has been hit by heavy aggression and has been taken out earlier than expected.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes with his style as well, though, because he's such an aggressive player. And when those two kind of styles collide, sometimes it isn't necessarily better for the Terran to be as aggressive as what he usually is. So I think the best way for him to approach this series is just to play a bit more conservative, play that defensive style like we know that he can. Like he's definitely showed us games where he has played that style. But against a player like iAsonu, who is an aggressive player, he should definitely take that route.
One thing that's absolutely remarkable when looking at ForGG is since the very beginning of the World Championship Series back in 2013, he's played in absolutely every single Premier League. He's never been knocked out. He's never not qualified. And that is, you know, some next level consistency. But at the same time, as good as it is, that's expected of him as now. Like this, ForGG not qualifying for the Premier League would be a mind blower.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his story this year as well, with the change up in the WCS system, there was a lot of fans of ForGG saying, you know what, I think this is his BlizzCon year. I think he can do this. And after, you know, season one, he looked very promising. He lost to Polt by one game in the round of 8. You know, Polt ended up winning that season. But then last season, there was that confidence booster. There's been a lot of people saying, oh, you know, that was a big hit to his point standings. I think he's only around 29th now in WCS points. I mean, he's still got that shot, but right now it's also just about showing that he can do it. It's about regaining his pride and just kind of showing that he can be on top again. And I mean, that DreamHack winter performance was great last year, but he wants to be a multiple-time champion. That was his first championship, and in 2015, he hasn't been anywhere near that close.
Well, his opponent has won 2 championships, but not the international ones we'd expect to be seen. iAsonu has picked up 2 Chinese victories this year and is starting to become the best player in China, slowly but surely. Already maybe in China, people starting to suggest that he already is. As you can see, dominating performance in Challenger. He played in the GPL, called the Golden Professional League, which feeds into the World Championship Series.
Yep.
And he's been doing so very well recently, making a lot of money in the Chinese scene. He's here on the international spot, and just like every player that feeds into the WCS, has a golden opportunity now to really showcase what he's made of and capable of here today, Sam.
Yeah, and like you said, on that win that he did get, he was able to beat XY 3-1, a Terran player who's probably one of the better Terran players in China. So he's definitely got ZvT worth reckoning with. So whether he's going to bring that kind of dominance today, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, let's take a look at the maps here, Pig, and you can give us your thoughts on this. It's going to be a best of 3, of course, always in the round of 32. They're going to pop up now just next to you. And the first map, Terraform, Cactus Valley, and Iron Fortress. What's your thoughts?
Terraform for ForGG. He loves his mech and his TVZ. I think that's a great map for it. Cactus Valley for iAsonu. I think, that makes sense as a Zerg player to some extent, in that it can be a big map. If you get cross-spawn, it's fantastic for Zerg. There's so much space for Terran to get across. And if you're worried about someone making aggressive pushes like ForGG, that's going to be great. The final map, though, I think is the most interesting in the bunch. You've got Iron Fortress. And this is that map where, are we going to see a more aggressive style out of ForGG? I mean, we assume he's always going to mix in at least some mech, but I think Iron Fortress is the map where both players can go really aggressive or really greedy, and there's going to be a lot more variance, and that's the one where the real surprise factor lies.
If we get to there, that's going to be the case. But let's take a closer look at map number 1, excuse me. So you mentioned that ForGG loves his mech. Why is this such a good mech map?
Oh, it's just got so many choke points. You can see the spiral kind of S shape in the middle of the map, and there's so many choke points amongst that. Really, whenever you want to attack anywhere with a big army, you're always going to find yourself moving through a corridor, a tight area. That's where those siege tanks, those planetary fortress wall-offs, all of that just starts to really profit in those areas. The big Zerg armies, they just can't squeeze through them as well. So I think it is a really nice map for mech play. You've also got a lot of corridors around the sides where Hellions can make some nice run-bys happen.
Is that what we're expecting then in this series? Or at least a lot today? I mean, there's 3 Zerg players in this group from ForGG. We're just going to be seeing mech all day?
I think we definitely are from ForGG. I think, as we can see in the Korean scene as well, a lot of them have been still trying to play bio, but it hasn't been working as well. And ForGG, he's kind of been renowned for playing mech anyway. So the fact that that's kind of the go-to style these days, I think the majority of his games are going to be back. I'd like to see a bit of bio. I'd like to see him throw it in there just so he doesn't get blind countered. But I think the majority of today's games are going to be mech.
So if we're going to take that assumption, what's the best way to play against that?
I mean, it's really tricky from player to player, but if you're going up against that mech play, there's a lot of things you can do to sort of blindly assume it. You can take that bit of a gamble, go straight into roach-based play from the get-go, and as soon as you kind of confirm it's happening, I mean, you're in a great position to rush up to Hive and Vipers. Not only that, but if you're opening roaches, you're pretty much immune to any sort of hellbat aggression. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. If you can make that assumption, you're comfortable opening up with the roaches, it's a good way to go.
Do you feel that ForGG is going to be feeling a bit of pressure, knowing that, very similar to Lilbo in the same way yesterday, is Lilbo, as soon as he lost the game or looked like he was going to lose, he started thinking about the eventual goal, which is to play at the global finals. You think that's something that ForGG thinks about, having not played the last 2 years at the global finals?
I think this year it's definitely been in his sights, and I think it always is. ForGG, just from the amount he practices, right? His dedication's always there, his passion's always there, and BlizzCon is every player's dream. And if you've been at so many semi-finals, you've been in a couple of finals, you've taken a championship, like ForGG has, you've got to want it. But at this point, I think his focus is on right here, right now, because he knows it's really getting top 2 or even winning the season. That's the only thing that's going to really definitely cement him in BlizzCon at this point. So right now, he's just got to take it one step at a time.
All right, it's time for my favorite part of the show. The predictions. Pig, you have to start first. I'm going to leave Sam to the last.
Oh,
That's his advantage. That's where he's actually getting all the wins from.
You know, I haven't been able to see too many important matches in ZvT from iAsonu lately, but I have faith that he's just got a really good understanding of the game, and I think he will take one map away from ForGG, but I think in the end, ForGG's predominance in mech, his power as a player, he's going to take it 2-1.
I'm going to agree with the 4GG winning, but I'm going to say 2-0.
Confidence in 4GG.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's one way to put it. Yeah, I'm feeling confident for him. I think that the way that mech's kind of going these days and the fact that he's had so much practice with it already, I feel like it's just going to play into his style.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to head to the commentary team once again. It's Todd and Colaris.
All right, let's see if 4GG are adopted European son now, basically. He's been here forever. Can look to put a claim on Season 3, where the past couple of Premier seasons haven't looked as strong for him as they should be. People expect him to be of championship caliber.
Yeah, he struggled a lot more as of late. In general, last season was really, I think he exemplified that pretty much.
Yep.
And everybody's kind of waiting to see if he can come back on form with the same kind of shape he used to be in terms of basically being able to put out very good results in tournaments. Usually not quite, championship caliber. He doesn't have like a very long track record of tournament wins. It's just been that one DreamHack that he won, and back in Brood War won an MSL. That's pretty much it. But usually he can go very far in his tournaments, and most of the time, or at least once upon a time, he did every single time. But as of late, not nearly as much. Can he do it, Carlos?
Let's see if he can, because it will be game number 1 against his challenger in iAsonu to try and get themselves forwards here in the World Championship Series. As we have spawned down to the bottom right-hand corner, it is our blue Terran representing Millennium. It is 4GG. Oh, so strong in the end of 2014, but here in 2015 needs to step it up as he goes up against the top left-hand corner here in the red, representing Invictus Gaming. It is iAsonu.
The expert panel, the analysis desk, and whatever you want to call it, they kind of touched on how mech is doing really well these days, and 4GG, is one of the OGs that was using a lot of mech, and now that he's doing really well, supposedly, he should be a big favorite here to take this group and advance on to the next round. Now, is it what's going to happen? I guess we can only wait and see, because 4GG, like we said, he's shown weakness in the past and a little bit of inconsistency as of late, which is very uncharacteristic of him. 4GG is like, he's supposed to be a little bit of a robot, so to speak. He wakes up every single morning, every day, which, to be honest, for a pro gamer is like unheard of. Usually we wake up in the afternoon and go to sleep late at night. He wakes up in the morning, practices long hours during the day. He has like a proper schedule. He lives, I would say, pretty healthy, like in a pretty healthy way in terms of, eating dinner, lunch and all that. And in the past, that's really been one of the things that I think has helped him be as consistent as he was.
Yeah, he's certainly kind of adopted this European lifestyle very well. He's been here for many years now. He was one of the very first Koreans to actually transition over and live in Europe full time. Since then, he's been here for a long time and has really found himself at home here in Europe and really put himself on the map when it comes to all these European tournaments. But the culmination of that came at the very end of 2014 when he did win that DreamHack, but since then hasn't been able to do much more. He hasn't been knocked out in a round of 32 in Premier League since the start of 2014, and that was kind of a blip for him. So if that were to happen again here, this late on, that would be a bit of a disaster. So he is looking for the victories, definitely looking for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to go for a command center first here, followed by Barracks and then Gas. In the past, I've seen 4GG go for command center first, then Gas, then Racks, but I think both are pretty okay. His latest series against Zerg in a tournament was during the Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom, and he won 2-1 against Lambo back then. So definitely, I guess he's doing okay to some extent in the matchup. But now he's up against an opponent I don't think he's going to have too much information on in iAsonu. Because it's very hard to actually find those VODs, from the Chinese scene or even their qualifiers or even challenger games. not necessarily the easiest thing that you can do, and there isn't nearly as much content from them because they don't attend, clearly all these Intel Extreme Masters and all that that you have the guys like ForGG attending pretty much all the time.
If I recall correctly, a lot of Chinese Zergs liked to go for heavy mid-game, even ranged upgrade styles against their Terran opponents. And I think iAsonu in previous WCS games has tried to do things like that, which can definitely work against mech. Like a lot of Roach plays, a lot of into Hydras as well later on.
It was when he played against Xenocider that we saw some of these Roach and Hydralisks play. But back then the map pool was very, very different though.
Yeah.
I think. And with the new map pool coming into play here also, this could definitely play a huge part in how things do go down. iAsonu kind of looked like he was going to start Spirit here for a second, but he's delaying it. Not starting anything with the gas that he's got just yet.
Just saving it up at the moment. Maybe waiting for something to come along. But already, ForGG is taking no risks, completely walling that front off and making sure that nothing's going to hit him, because he doesn't realistically have any vision at the front. With the opener that he's gone for so far, I mean, there is no Reaper for him to scout out anything other than the spawning pool and gas. He can't see anything coming his way, so he is taking defensive precautions to start things.
Yeah, 4G scouted that there was 100 gas mined, as our observer Funka just pointed out here, so he was probably maybe a little bit worried that some speed links later on come and start to be annoying or even try to weaken his economy. So he wanted to be careful, walled off. In this case, it's going to be a decently quick lair, not the fastest that you can get, and a Roach Warren here for iAsonu, confirming these suspicions that you had, that we might see a range style with Roaches, possibly even Hydralisks, which, I mean, if you're iAsonu and you're playing against ForGG and you know that he likes mech as much as he does, I think one of the very good ways you could play it, or even defending the initial harassment, you get a bunch of Queen Cells, Roaches, you defend against whatever Hellions, Banshees are attacking you, and then you go into Hydralisk. Later on, you go into Vipers if you want to, unless you want to do an all-in. You can even play with Drop if you want to really go for some kind of all-in. He's going to have a lot of options here, this Arsenal, this iAsonu.
And he's got to be careful here, though, as well, because behind this, the armory is going down, which means these Hellions, with the medevac that's about to pop as well, can turn into Hellbats, can be very, very threatening, with especially the Marines in tow as well. So definitely got to be careful here as iAsonu. Got to have a good few Roaches out to be able to deal with this initial push.
And this is a big, big scout, by the way, that he just got here, iAsonu. He saw that there was no tech lab on the starport just yet, so he knows that there was no Banshee to be expected anytime soon. And that means he can skip on Spores. He's going to have more drones that he's got mining. And with the amount of Roaches that he's got here right now, like you said, should be fairly easy to defend in the first place, these Hellbats.
Already, though, they're going to work on the third base. Usually, you would see ForGG trying to go for even run-bys or dropping
Why
things in.
Why is he fighting so early?
Yeah, this is a little bit scary for him. He's lost one Roach down towards the bottom. He may lose more here. You got to remember as well, the Hellbats, despite being mechanical units, can be healed by this medevac. So he will try and keep them alive here for a little bit.
And you know what this is achieving? You know what this is achieving here by ForGG? It feels like iAsonu is completely forgot about the possibility of a Banshee behind this, because even though he had scouted a starport without a tech lab, it lifted up immediately after his Overlord died. So there's actually going to be Cloak Banshees being sent across the map here right behind it. So if there is no Spores, they're going to start doing a lot of kills on those drones, and iAsonu is going to be in trouble. Spots one of the Banshees, though.
Yeah, using them to just clean up the Roaches and make sure that the counterattack isn't going to do anything. Because right now, at the back here for ForGG, he's going to lose this medevac with two Hellbats in it. That's a nice pickup there for iAsonu. But the Roaches threatening like that, all he had was a few Hellions, not really much to deal with them. So the Banshee was very important to push that away.
Yes. This overseer, though, is pretty massive. It spotted that two command centers started behind this, which is actually a little bit uncharacteristic. ForGG had enough gas to start a bunch of factories, maybe because he macroed a little bit sloppily. He found himself with a lot of minerals, and those Roaches, they're going all the way around right now. Those Banshees, luckily for ForGG, is keeping them at home. I think he knows about the threat here of an upcoming attack.
There's a lot of Roaches. Ever so aggressive here, the Chinese players. We saw Shani yesterday trying to go for the aggression. iAsonu is going to follow on suit. Well, that supply depot is going to fall down very, very fast. And then the Roaches are going to get focused on down here. As iAsonu behind this really doesn't have that many workers. 44. He's put a lot of eggs into this basket at the moment.
He's going to do a lot of damage, I think, with these Roaches here, potentially. Even though there's Banshees to defend, they're going to take forever to finally kill these Roaches.
And he needs to land the Vikings as well. He knows that this is a very, very scary position to be in.
Oh, the depot was raised for the SCDs to go into the main.
Yeah, they get in. The Roaches get in before he can actually do anything about it. Splits the Roaches off as well. He's killed 25 workers. And The Thor pops out. He needs to keep that Thor alive. He needs to be able to somehow repair it, but the Roaches are going to kill it off. And all these SCVs are laid to waste. ForGG plummets in supply. He drops himself mules, but he's hardly got any workers left.
Yeah, he lost 42 SCVs already. Going to be losing even more. Those Roaches seemingly just don't die. They want to kill all of the SCVs out on the map. ForGG's got this covered, man. 4 command center with 3 orbitals, all of them already. He's going to have more income in a moment. Now, of course, I'm kidding, but like he took a lot of damage. And I think iAsonu from this position, he's going to be in a fantastic position.
A very greedy play here from ForGG to go for a quadra command center almost after not being able to do a huge amount with his initial push.
Yeah.
And only the Banshees to try and stave off that assault wasn't enough, nowhere near.
50 SCVs, the magic number, man. 50 SCVs were just killed right before your eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Then behind this, mutas are being made. ForGG is completely broke. He's got 13 SCVs to 62 drones. He's trying to use mules, but no turrets are up. Mutas are already flying across the map. And Thor-wise, we only have a single one up with no other one in the production tab.
He could go to aggression and assault that Thor instantly with this force, and then there's nothing that ForGG can do about it. He's going to try and use his Clo Banshees here, though, to get him back into this game, but they've got so much work to do. I'm going to have to kill off almost every single drone on the other side to make him get him back into this game.
He looked really bad this game, to be honest. It looks almost as if he thought that iAsonu was like one of those guys that loves to drone and play defensive, when it's really not the case. Everybody supposedly knows it. He treated him as like a regular Zerg. iAsonu is somebody that loves to play aggressive and that was getting a lot of Roaches the whole time for an attack. ForGG didn't scout much, didn't see it coming, and in the end, even though it kind of seemed a minimum prepared with the Banshees back at home, it just didn't have nearly enough.
Yeah.
That double command center added on later on, I really don't understand that choice, rather than just getting more factories.
He's paid a huge price, a massive price here to try and play this kind of greedy style, and if he fights his way back in, then I will take my hat off and eat it, because this is a very, very difficult position to recover from here.
A Huck moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It had to happen. But ForGG is in disaster town. How is he supposed to mount a recovery from here? Infestation pits on the way for iAsonu. He is going to take over the whole map, whilst ForGG is scrambling to set up his economy.
You know, they say time is money, and ForGG is all out of time here right now.
Yeah, and might be all out of money. No, he doesn't really have much to his name at all. He's got just a few minerals trickling in here and there, with only 26 workers against 66.
Look at this changeling. Get out.
Fearless in the face of death. And he's just going to walk on in and try and focus down these Thors, kill those off. Another Thor actually gets a really good volley off there. He's going to kill up a lot of these Mutalisks. But iAsonu, with these Roaches, they are not going to be contested. They are going to be able to move on and kill this last remaining Thor with the army supply of 70 against 8. And there you go. GG, iAsonu forces a fantasy GG timing out of ForGG. And that is game 1 going over to our Chinese man. Very well done. Well done.
ForGG though. Really disappointing, I have to say. A game like this, where he goes for double additional command center, is something you don't really see after the initial command center first from someone. You know, adding on at least one more command center, I think he's okay. But 2, not sure what happened there. Not sure if he had planned this or if maybe his macro got a little bit sloppy. And maybe because he had already killed an Overlord, he thought there was not going to be a follow-up scout. In which case, if the Zerg doesn't know, usually you don't necessarily always want to play super aggressive against this. But remember, this is a Zerg with a very aggressive image that ForGG was playing against here. And actually, iAsonu scouted very quickly that double additional command center starting with the Overseer. And that's probably when he must have smiled and been like, well, I'm about to kind of kill you, bro. No, sorry, not much you can do.
Well, that does it. Game number 1 in the history books. iAsonu takes the first one. We'll be right back with a short commercial break. And then when we are, it will be ForGG versus iAsonu, game at number 2. Welcome back to the World Championship Series here for game number 2 between ForGG and iAsonu after somewhat of a surprise, I would say, to some people out there probably, with iAsonu being able to take that first game. But if you'd watched the game closely, not really that much of a surprise. iAsonu pretty much dominated that position.
Yeah. Do you think he just texted all his friends? He's like, yo, I just beat Mech.
the earliest stages of Mech possible. And he's like, wow, how did you manage? I was like, well, he had nothing.
Just in my thing.
Mid roaches, it was good. It was good. Going on to Cactus Valley here, Todd. Though this is a bit more of a difficult map to really kind of make some Mech work, right?
Well, it's supposed to be, but as of late, we've seen it work on every single map.
Yeah, true.
Given you don't die in the early game.
And given some of the caliber of players, we've seen it from people like Innovation being able to pull it on out. But anyway, let's get into it. Getting into the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Terran representing Millennium. It is ForGG. Can absolutely not afford to go out here in the round of 32, given his caliber. And up to the top right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg, our Chinese player. It is iAsonu.
If ForGG goes out in this group here, I think it wouldn't just be a big upset. I think his road to BlizzCon just ends.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's currently quite high up in the rankings at the moment. I think around 26th? Okay. But that would be just a crash and burn moment for him here in the round of 32. And obviously, people like ForGG, they are competing for a spot. That's the caliber of player that he believes himself to be. Not only speculation out there from his fans, from people that, write things on Team Liquid, for example. He is very good, but in that game, it wasn't there. Everything didn't kind of click together.
I really like the way iAsonu went about playing against ForGG, though, because ForGG is known to really love a massive amount of Hellions, and in this case, it was even Hellbat, which is an even bigger investment with the Armory. Sure, it allows him to go into Thors later on, which means only one thing, then that he doesn't get siege tanks.
Yeah.
And as much as he likes Banshee, ForGG, since he opened with a single Medivac drop, he only had 2 Banshees when this big attack finally hit. So iAsonu, it's almost as if he knew the whole time that this massive roach attack was always going to do a lot of damage. And he's a big fan of those. It's kind of going for the build that ForGG just went for in map number 1 is kind of like tempting the devil. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, definitely. ForGG is going to open up a little bit differently already. Getting himself a Reaper out, wants to keep eyes on his opponents, sees what is going on. Because, let's face it, iAsonu, with the kind of aggression he portrayed before, and we know that the Chinese players do like to go for aggressive moves, you've always got to be a little bit careful. But hey, Bunker starts up at the front. Wow, that's ambitious. Drone's already out to greet it.
Yeah, and actually, iAsonu even canceled the extractor he was getting here, fully realizing, I think, what's happening, and they was going to be losing quite a few minerals here to defend this property. Yeah, he wants to get, I guess, queens from both archeries ASAP and not necessarily mine gas early on.
This is quite the commitment here from him to try and deny this. With one drone going down, the second one almost falls, starts himself a Spore Crawler, saves it. Usually you don't see that many drones dying off, if at all, against a Reaper, but one already going down, the second one's going to fall.
Yeah, that bunker's about to finish here. It's going to finish in 1 second.
Whoop.
Does finish.
Oh, SCV does die, though, so he can't really repair this at all. It will just be a safe haven for this Reaper for a little bit whilst he bounces back and forth against the Zerglings.
So 3 kills already. This has done quite a bit now. ForGG started his own command center. He's 3 SCVs ahead. And iAsonu actually drones up behind this.
I mean, that's already a big win for ForGG, right? With this kind of move. 4 drones for 2 Reapers. Usually unheard of in the current metagame.
iAsonu is definitely struggling. That bunker seemingly will remain around the area here. Actually, sends in the Zerglings.
Whoa!
Try and take it out, but ForGG is just going to be happy to salvage the bunker, I think.
Yeah, he's start that now, though. Otherwise, it would die, and he won't be able to get the money back for it. Very, very close there. Microing back this Reaper once again. ForGG really turning on the taps here in game number 2. He will be able to kill off a Queen and even more Zerglings. This has been fantastically cost-effective.
Yeah. You know, in France, when you purchase something, we have that thing where it's like you're either satisfied or you're reimbursed. But with bunkers, you're satisfied and reimbursed.
It's a win-win situation in France. Wow. I didn't even realize that was the way, but There you go. These Reapers are going to come back in again, and he needs to bring that one back. Make sure it doesn't get focused down. Just pull it to the back. Allow the other ones to tank here against the Queen. They are trapped in a corner now, though.
Whoa, what the hell was that? ForGG was doing so great, then he goes in a corner of the map, loses one Reaper, almost losing another one here, but iAsonu has had to make so many Zerglings. He's down to 19 drones to 23 SCVs, and now restarts a whole bunch of drones, but it feels like he's just so far behind compared to where he would usually be here, and the starport's already about to finish with the tech lab already been made from the barracks, so ForGG in a fantastic position.
Exactly, this is the ForGG we expect, much more so, as he just goes to a norm here with the Reapers and does huge work with it. Just the bunker alone, a little stroke of genius there to make sure that he can get as much out of those Reapers as possible.
Yeah, ForGG from there is just going to be amassing Hellions, and he's going to be in his comfort zone, I think. Like, considering how far behind iAsonu is, like, he's got a lot of links. I guess getting speed gives him a chance to go for something like a surround on his units, but...
I mean, with the armory going down here, Todd, doesn't this just allow ForGG to go for a very similar timing to last game, but this time iAsonu is slightly worse off where he was before?
Slightly worse off. Is one way to put it. He's practically dead. Well, he's in a lot of trouble, surely. Like, the Roach run only starts now. That means he's not going to have Roaches, supposedly, by the time this finally hits. And with just Queens and Zerglings, it's going to be really hard for him to eventually, potentially hold this.
These Hellions are on the way, and they have not been spotted here by the Overlord. This one will spot them down to the bottom here, but at the same time, where are the Zerglings? Where are the units? Where's a wall? This could be a lot of damage about to hit as we go into the first person here of ForGG, who is going to orchestrate this attack as quickly as possible, really not giving iAsonu any room to breathe at the moment. The Lings are going to try and wrap around from the back here, but they're going to get fried up instantaneously. The Banshee is kept with this force. He slightly moves it away from the Spore Crawler to make sure that's not going to die off while the Hellbats do the work. In the mineral line, that's a lot of drones getting clumped up. He really wants them to line up, and he gets a lot here, does ForGG. That is big damage already being done here early in this game. Great moves by ForGG. 17 workers went down. That's ridiculous.
A fast and furious day of StarCraft, guys. This is what we're witnessing here, because...
There you go. GG. Game number 2 goes to ForGG. Apparently, every single person here in the group is in a bit of a rush. And that will be 1-1 at the moment here in this series.
I like the first person, like, as he was about to burn everything.
I loved it. That was fantastic.
Moment. It's like, see with the eyes of the Terran how, like, Hellions kill drones that try to surround them with, like, the same attack move that Protosses go for.
Very strong stuff there from ForGG. Just all of those steps. I say all of those steps. There really wasn't that many. Just the initial the Reaper poke, and then being able to follow it up with a very similar and strong attack there. With even the Banshee in tow, really adds on a lot of damage.
Yeah. Do you think ForGG texted his friend, "Hey, I just won with Mech"?
We'll keep going back to it. That's funny, man. These
It's time to see a real game, Carlisle.
Yes,
okay? I think everybody agrees on that. It's time to see a longer game. A bit of a mix of everything here. Tanks, Hellbats, Banshees, Vikings, Thors, and on the other side, potentially a Roach, Hydra, Viper, maybe some Mutas.
Yeah. Our next map...
It's been all about the early game.
Our next map is going to be Iron Fortress here between these two players. So a map that we have once again seen Mech on, and we've seen different varying ways of being able to deal with it. Obviously, it's a very open map here, Todd, on Iron Fortress. So there is potential that if it does go into later stages of the game, iAsonu can give ForGG the good old runaround and try and poke and prod at his bases himself.
Yeah, the thing is, it feels like Mech, if it's done properly right now, it's extremely hard, almost impossible for Zerg to really deal well with it, unless you know exactly like which variant of it is being done and executed, and then you can kind of counter in your own way. But it's been pretty tough for Zerg, seemingly, in most tournaments.
Well, let's get into it. Game number 3 here, as we do have spawn down to the bottom right-hand corner. It is our blue Terran representing Team Millennium. It is ForGG. Bringing it back there with the kind of game that we expect to see here from our ForGG. And then up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg representing Invictus Gaming. It is iAsonu. coming all the way from China. We have all of our Chinese participants here this time in Cologne, and it's lovely to have them here.
You know, earlier today, this morning, GSL Codes took place, and Gumiho, who's definitely another one of those mech wizards, you know, kind of like ForGG against Zerg, maybe even more so in Gumiho's case, defeated Su 2-0 and then Rogue 2-0. So
that's a result.
Yeah, that he made mech look unbeatable at this point.
We'll see if ForGG in the later stages can do the same kind of thing. This is an 11 barracks with an 11 gas as well back at home, so very early.
Just to get that scout on the 4-players map, can't really blame him to try and get the info as early as possible.
Yeah.
Maybe also hoping that iAsonu would try something foolish, like an early pull, hoping that there'll be a command center first, in which case it'd be in a lot of trouble. Luckily for him, it's going to be a hatch here on 15.
Yep, should be okay. Should be okay. Thankfully for iAsonu, he got cross positions here on a map like Iron Fortress. Now, if you do get close positions, it can be a little harder for the Zerg because they are so close by air, and then it comes to the point of, well, where do you realistically take your third? You try and expand away from the Terran. But in these positions, it does make it a little bit easier for iAsonu, right?
Yeah, I guess against any kind of attacks, especially early on, like he's gonna have a few extra seconds.
Yeah.
To get some of his own stuff out to try and defend properly against whatever is being thrown at him. But in the end, it's not that much more that you could really like compare it to, like, you know, the old times where, like, you know, it was Tal'Darim cross map. That was like a real struggle. And in this case, ForGG gets an SCV scout here, and he already knows from checking the top right-hand side and spotting the Overlord that his opponent, iAsonu, is on the top left-hand side, so he's going to head straight there.
And this Reaper, if he's the same one from the previous game that got the 4 kills, his words of the Grim Reaper have arrived.
Yeah, I thought
he very obvious.
He spotted the Overlord, I thought, on the top right ForGG, so I thought he'd know that. Okay.
It was hidden.
Oh, it was hidden.
A cheeky
next
guy.
to that lantern.
Yeah, of course. Over a light, he was hidden.
Third Reaper, and actually I was wondering why ForGG was still mining so much gas, but I guess he not only wanted to get a third Reaper, but a quick factory as well behind this here. So, gonna be able to apply a lot of pressure here with this. iAsonu, though, he's still going for a speed at a decent speed. Oh, that was terribly phrased. I was trying to get away from it.
That's fine, you can do it.
He's trying to get speed out pretty quickly, and as soon as it hits, it's going to be much easier to defend here against this kind of play.
Nope, already going to work on these drones. We'll save it with an extractor. Next one have to be saved maybe with another extractor, but second Reaper's going to come on in here. Not afraid of taking damage from the Queens initially to try and juke and jive, because there isn't creep spread between those two locations at the moment. Those Queens are going to have a much harder time of slowly walking off creep towards each base.
Slowly is the word. They've really struggled in getting in position here to try and defend this properly. ForGG gets south of there.
I always imagine they're sneaking off creep, just kind of slowly sneaking up on their prey, but realistically it doesn't really help them out too much. He's going to get a drone. Another one's going to go down. He is tearing these apart with these. I can't believe how many he's getting.
iAsonu didn't recognize the timing on the Reaper here, and I don't think he had foreseen 3 Reapers being made. The thing is, speed's closing in here. For iAsonu, there is a chance he finally shuts this down and kills his Reapers, but they've already done so much damage. 8 drones have died. It's going to be the 9th one.
This is ridiculous. You can't let these Reapers get this amount of work done. I think he knows by now that they're on a suicide mission, but...
You think he's about to make mech work?
I definitely think so. This is 11 drones, 12 drones. He's not going to stop either. He's going to keep trying to bounce between these locations.
The Queens were out of position for a second, but the Reaper's finally going to run into them.
Another one. Oh, gets it before the Spore starts. 13 kills. The Grim Reaper definitely has arrived, taking all of these guys.
I knew you were going to say something like this.
Thank you, buddy.
I know you so well. Yeah, 13 kills. That's pretty massive. 29 or 30 drones right now to 28 SCVs. ForGG is probably pretty happy, even though he's just got the 2 orbitals. He's got a 3rd one about to complete here in his main, and it's going to be mule time. And Tyrell escaped on the starport though, and instead went for Steam Pack a little bit earlier, so not going to be playing mech here on this map and in these positions. He rather play bio to try and maybe close it out pretty early with the Medivacs that he's going to get.
Look at iAsonu going for his 3rd hat trick, going for Leia. Roach Warren's gone down as well. Of course, he knows that there is the potential of this Hellion follow-up doing big damage to him, but I don't think he quite fully knows about the barracks transition here.
Yeah.
He's going to put himself in a bad spot.
I think ForGG must be kind of hoping that iAsonu does something reckless, like a mass roach, either defense or even all in himself, and then he runs into a lot of Marines with Steam Pack and gets demolished.
He needs roaches right now. The Hellions are on the way. How is the wall looking at the front? I mean, are they just going to go past the Queens?
What wall, Killers?
Oh no, the fact that he doesn't have a wall either, they're going to go into the main base. He's trying to even block off or something. I'm not sure what that was, trying to save that drone, but there's so many in the main base once again that are going to be under threat. He's just going to burn them up. Oh, this is getting way out of hand. iAsonu has been taken for a ride here with these Reapers into the Hellion transition, and the drones never stop burning. That is 19 workers going down extra for 6 Hellions.
Yeah, that's a pretty good trade here for ForGG. He lost a bunch of Hellions, but he kills so many drones that it doesn't even matter. 44 SCVs to 24 drones. At this point, he scans the natural, spots the roach war, and even going to see a bunch of those roaches popping out. ForGG knows that all he has to do is basically stay alive a little bit longer, defend, and then start Medivac dropping and have some fun in this game to win it. Made the second starport by accident, but he's going to cancel that.
Yeah, especially, just get a siege
he
tank
could have just got Cloak Banshee on one starport and Medivacs on the other, and he would have been okay. With the position he's in, he might as well have done that.
Yeah, he definitely could have. It's just going to be roaches at the moment here for iAsonu, trying to get that creep spread going as quickly as possible through the middle. And then the siege tank is going to keep ForGG so well defended against this.
Can't believe that 32 drones already have died here in that game.
And there's not being any produced at all. So iAsonu is just gearing up for one last ditch effort, one last hope to try and keep himself in this best of 3 after a really strong first game. One might look back at it and say maybe it was just ForGG's folly.
Again. ForGG.
What is he up to? Was that a barracks that time?
No, I'm not sure. He was blocking his own buildings a little bit, so he's just going to cancel this attack here that's coming up. ForGG, all he has to do is defend, and I think iAsonu is just going to tap out.
Yeah.
Surely he must have enough as well.
Very difficult to break through this location. There you go, GG. ForGG will be able to take the series 2-1. A bit of a rocky start here for ForGG, but in the end, he comes out victorious and he makes his way on to the winners match.
No mech in that last game, I think we can say it. He wanted to go into bio after the early damage that he had done, and ForGG finally, he gets a wake-up call, I think, from that first game, because that was a pretty sad way to open up the series, I think. Yeah,
that's not what we really expect from him. Likewise, he doesn't expect it from himself. So went to the Reaper openers, and look at how much damage he was able to do in both games, in fact. So we will be seeing him go on to the winners match, and he'll be going up against Zamster there. Of course, whilst in the lower bracket game, we will have Kane going up against iAsonu in a Zerg versus Zerg, a knife fight to the death, Todd.
A knife fight to the death, that's how you describe ZvT?
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, obviously, do you have high hopes?
You realize that Zerg units, they kind of like spit or throw stuff, like most of them, like, roaches, hydralisks. So I mean, they're going to spit on each other until...
yeah, I guess so.
Until one of them dies.
Mine was even a slightly more pleasant version of this. But regardless, we'll head over to the analysis desk with Sean and the fellows.
Thank you very much, Kalaris, joined here by ForGG and, of course, Jared. You picked up a victory today. Congratulations on that victory. You lost the first map there. What were your thoughts when you lost the first map? What was going through your mind?
I think... when I first met, I think my opponent just focused my mech build. So basically I didn't do anything. I just so many roach I can't defend. After that game, something changed.
And Reapers, right? That's where the change came in. I mean, you did some great damage. Were you always planning to go for the bunker rush on Cactus Valley, the bunker pressure?
Yes, this many Juggle player confused, like 2 barracks bunker rush or Reaper bunker rush. And this time he think, I think 2 barracks. Many drone coming, he already can't win.
Yeah, he lost so many drones there, canceled the gas in the main base. So, I mean, that was just a beautiful win. Your Hellbat timing was very nice. In the final game, Iron Fortress. Now, we were actually talking, because it's a big map, we were thinking, are you going to play mech there? Are you going to play bio? Was it because you were cross map, or were you always planning to go bio on Iron Fortress?
No, basically today I have 3 Zerg. I don't choose any build. I just play just a mind game.
Yeah.
And after first 2 game, I think my opponent think about only mech, so I just play bio.
So is today a difficult group for you? Is it hard, today's group?
No.
No, not at all?
But it's a little bit annoying because 3 Zerg.
Yeah, 3 Zerg. I mean, that's the good thing and bad thing because you can practice just for Zerg, but also you start to run out of builds and strategies and they adapt. Is that how it is?
Yeah, very easy to practice, but I don't know what I to do.
Okay, let's talk a little bit bigger than today's group here for ForGG. Let's talk season finals. I'm imagining you'd like to go to Poland to play there. And the global finals. Are you aiming to try and get to BlizzCon?
I'm always trying, so of course this time I will try to my best.
Because 2013 you were ranked 24, I think, or 23. 2014, pretty much the same rank again. And right now you're 29, again very close to where you were the last 2 years. What is going to make you get to the global finals? Is it just performing well here, or must you travel like you did last year too to DreamHacks and other tournaments?
I don't understand.
So do you feel that you must perform in the World Championship Series? You must win top 2 this season?
Yes, I hope. But I really don't like this season map pool. Really, I think it's really hard to against Zerg. But this time I have 3 Zerg. I practice around now. I know how to do. So yeah, I think so.
Well, one final question then before we cut this off. People, fans, community members have said that you aren't performing as well as you have been earlier this year. Do you agree or disagree? Because if you look at your results, you've played some difficult opponents over the last couple of months in tournaments. Innovation, I think Hart you met at DreamHack, if I'm not mistaken. Where do you assess yourself? Are you in good shape? Are you doing okay?
I think I play not really good. That's why I'm ranked around 24. So I think I have to be really a lot of practice this time. If I go to Poland, and then maybe we can go BlizzCon.
Okay, thank you very much, ForGG, and best of luck in your next match. ForGG will be playing in the winners match just around the corner. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we return from that, it's time for the lower bracket game. One of these players must go home. It's going to be Kane versus iAsonu in a fast and furious Zerg versus Zerg.